Over the years, in every game I've played, there's always been those players, the ones who seem to know everything. They've got all the game knowledge, the numbers, the insights. They don't even need to ask the devs. They just figure it out themselves through curiosity and passion, and they share it. They lift up the community just by being there. They made my experience better, taught me things I didn't even know I needed to learn, and showed me how much more fun a game could be when people support each other. Eromenos is one of those people. He's super knowledgeable, and he even created a wiki for everyone on a separate Discord server. He's passionate, kind, and just a really great person. So when he said he was interested in becoming a mod on our Discord, I was really happy. And to be honest, he is also just such a nice and humble guy, even though he knows so much. I'm your host, Da Shu, the community manager of Foundation Galactic Frontier. And yes, today's episode is all about Eromenos, my galactic guide. Hey Ero, we've been chatting for a long time now, but this is the first time we are actually talking. That's pretty wild. Welcome to the podcast. I'm really happy to finally speak with you. So Ero, tell me, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, actually. It's been 7 months in the making. I feel like in the very early days of this game, I blew up your DMs more than anybody. Like we were just always talking. So this has been a great experience to finally get a chance to get on these and talk a bit. And obviously before these things you talk a little bit before and just
Mhm.
getting to know each other a little bit better. Like it's been very cool so far, and I'm very happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Exactly. So today I want to grab this opportunity so that I've prepared a lot of questions for you. And let's start with the classic one. So Aromanos, can you share a bit about yourself, your interests, and how you discovered Foundation Galactic Frontier?
Personally, by trade, I develop software for a living. I run as a CTO of several different companies. So I was pretty excited to get in on this game because I understood development cycles, things like that. But I didn't know about it. I was playing another game and
Mhm.
something happened over there. A lot of the player base got pretty upset. I won't talk about that part of it. But somebody who plays this game with me, who played that game with me, told me about Foundation. And we popped over. It was like day two, actually. So I say I'm a day oneer, but it was day two and of early release. And I fell in love with it immediately. And the funny thing is anybody who knows the person who brought me into the game, I was a thorn in his side to like the entire server. And
Oh,
we just came together. We're on the same team now. But like for the last 6 months, it was kind of like every time he made a move, I was there to kind of stop it a little bit. So it was to see the dynamic is a little funny, but it's great. Now we're actually on the same team again. That's how I got brought over here. And then this game so far, it's been a lot of fun. I've spent a lot of time in it. I'll say that.
I like it. Dragged in by someone randomly, and then somehow you end up sticking around longer than you expected.
It was kind of a dream. It was always my dream to get in on a
Hmm.
game on day one, right? Like I played
Yes.
another title for 7 years now.
Hmm.
And I always think, God, I wish I got in on the day one because like those players, they have, I don't want to say an advantage, but an advantage, right? You were
Hmm.
there for every bit of the game's evolution. You helped mold that part of the game's evolution through
Yes.
feedback and through testing, and through, just it's a different feeling. So I felt like, if I wanted to get in and on a new game for another, 6, 7 years, I
Hmm.
wanted to help shape it. So hearing about it day one, I ran. I immediately dove head first. And it was like hit the ground running. I think I was like 5 million power in like 2 days.
And yeah, I actually see that you are quite active in our community, and you've actually gone one step further. You are always helping the community and share tons of useful information. We all know that you've been also working on an unofficial Discord wiki that packed with helpful info for players. So it's actually an amazing resource. So Aromanos, what made you decide to start helping other players on Discord and putting
Well,
together the guides for them?
Okay, well, I'm going to remind you that you asked this question because you know as well as I do in the beginning of this game, there was no info to be found anywhere. And like,
True.
you can't blame a developer. They're busy trying to develop the game, and it
Mm,
takes a lot of work to try to write in-depth applicate, definitions and guides to go with the things you're building. I know that firsthand from many of the apps I've built over the years, right?
yeah,
It's very easy to build something, but now you have to be able to explain to people how to use it, right? So
yeah.
I knew that that would come in some time, but from all the years of trying to debug things of my own that I've built, or other of my employees have built that I didn't personally build, but somebody on my team did, I knew that I could jump in and start trying to figure things out pretty quickly. And I
Mm,
did. And I was always very big at that. I wanted to share it. It wasn't that I wanted to learn it and tell my team so my team could be the best and we could dominate. And I know that that's a lot of a way a lot of people think. But
mhm,
like I wanted it to everybody. I wanted everybody to enjoy the game and truly understand how to play it. Because if they understood it and they wanted to play it, then our player base would stay healthy
yeah.
and the game would have a better future. I may not work for the company, but I want the game to have a future. I want this to have been worth something. Because let me be real, I put a lot of
Mm,
my personal
mm,
hours in on this, not just playing the game and enjoying it, but guiding other players. And
mm,
anybody who's part of that wiki that I put up knows if they ask a question in there, if I'm not
mm,
sleeping, I probably answered within 5 minutes. And I have a
mm.
pretty big boy job where I work, 70 hours a week. And I still almost always have the Discord up down in the corner where if I can, I will answer someone immediately. And
Yeah,
I'll get
that's
it.
awesome. I remember when I started the game, I personally myself I had to read your wiki and sometimes had to ask you some questions that even I don't know about it. So it was really really helpful.
Yeah,
And
there's a good feeling about that, right? When you're
mhm,
talking to even the CMs and you're helping give them information faster than the developers can explain it to them. It was a cool feeling. It definitely was. And it's still happening today, right? Because we're still getting new content. And like that Blackout, when Blackout came out, like immediately people were like, oh, it takes too much AP, which, I'll argue that something we do have to figure something about AP, but nobody understood it right away because they weren't really doing it. And our guild was one of the first ones on our server, at least, to really go out there and start plowing through it. And when I was talking to other servers, a lot of them were saying they weren't trying the higher level ones because they're hard. They do require your whole team to actually be online and participating because there's no auto rally. They didn't understand the 30 AP join, but they didn't understand that everyone gets
yeah.
like same good resource pool up to 30
Mhm,
times. So that resource our guild figure out was actually a really, really good event if you spam the highest level ones. Like don't waste your AP on the low level ones. It's only enough to build them up to the higher level ones and then spend all your time in those high level ones. And we got so much gold and so much component XP, which is such a big deal these days that we found it to be a really really good event. Now I mean if I had to give a little feedback I would say that on a
mhm,
hunt day for like gbg or top 100 we should be able to have that count toward our hunt. Any event anytime you're killing a PvE it should count
mm.
toward the hunt day. I believe that would help, but other than that I think that event is great. And that was another one of those things that people initially they weren't even going to give the time to, but I'm out there trying to show people like no this is actually really good for your growth. This isn't just something for brand new players, which people thought veterans initially thought like oh this is meant for like brand new servers, more content that doesn't help us older people, but it does, it really does. And people need to get out there and actually do it sometimes before immediately deciding that it's bad.
That's seriously impressive. You've clearly put a lot of time and love into it. But I need to ask you, how did you find all that info about the game? How did you build the start calculators and gather so much knowledge? I remember in
It
our
was
direct message, you gave me a lot of stat
it's
and
all
your
me.
calculations. Yeah.
It's all me. Okay, so like in the beginning, I wanted to understand the map, and I think
Mhm,
the new battle reports might actually help me finally figure that out because right now the battle reports didn't really make that easy. So
mhm,
it was a lot of A/B testing, right? I would move this hero to this slot. I would change this to this way. And because like a normal war game, those you send one march, it calculates the math, it sends you back your report, right? And it's not an ongoing fluid battle. And I think that while that's cool, that adds a lot of complications to truly understanding the math of the way war was. So
mhm.
because of that, I spent a lot of time on it because I was determined I wanted to try to figure out that math. And I didn't. It's right now my, the great whale I'm trying to catch. I did a lot because of it. And then I just wanted to understand too, like because obviously I'm a spender player, and I'm not on here advocating spending to people. Spend what's realistic to your world, right? Like, don't see what I'm spending and think that that's what you got to do. No, I spend what's realistic to my personal real life that is okay for me, and everybody should never do above your own means. So I'm not advocating for that, but I wanted to make sure that when I'm spending my money, I'm spending it in a good way. And that's also one of the things I try to guide players on is if you're a player, don't think that I can only give you help if you spend money like I do, because I use that money I spent to figure out all those different mechanics.
Great. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. We all know that you are also one of our amazing moderators. Let's say a brand new player joins the game today. How would you get them? Where should they start, or what should they focus on?
Well, first, I would send them to my wiki, right? Not to like
Yeah.
brush off my shoulder, but I feel like it answers a lot of questions right away, where it saves me a lot of time from questions that
Yeah.
could be asked.
Quick tip for the audience. If you haven't seen Eromenos wiki, you can check the
Mhm.
beginner channel, the pinned message, which has the link for Eromenos wiki.
And listen, is it missing some stuff? Yes, we definitely, there were some things I avoided writing in the beginning because I
Mhm.
understand that early release games, there's a lot that's going to change in that time, and a lot has changed in that time, right? And I think I understood some of the things that we would see change. So I didn't do port battle ones yet. I'm about to write those now. I think we're settling into where those are going to reside for a little while. I didn't write all the player bios because I felt something starting to happen there. And good thing I didn't, because I would have spent a lot of time rewriting those, right? So if you see something missing, just ask a question in the Ask a Question channel of that wiki, because it's probably that I didn't write that guide because I know that we're not finished there yet. Like, not we as in the players, but like the game designers. So I guess I shouldn't say we, but they're not done changing over there yet, right? So I didn't want to write that kind of stuff, but I'm happy to guide you. But if I'm really talking about brand new player, you're picking it up and you're starting to understand the game now. It's not about like, what do I equip, what do I do ever, but what do you do in the day to day? I always say make sure that you do your 3 5 10s. 3 5 10s are your three tributes, excuse me, your three shrines that you can do every day. They're your 10 tributes and your 5 arcs. Your arcs, you might not be able to always do 5 a day, but if you have 5 of those red tickets, you should be doing it. And hopefully, sometime soon, hint, hint, they will do something about raising those drop rates of those red tickets. So those are important. Do those every day. 3 5 10s, three shrines, 5 arcs, 10 tributes. Get those done every day. Those are going to give you the most of your rewards for your AP with those higher amounts. Other than that, be there for your team, making sure that you have a ship and auto, that you're constantly trading. Do your immediate trades, those urgent trades. A lot of people might think like, oh, I can't spend them enough to get to good things. But realistically, those things that come with it, all those extra items that you see on that spinning wheel, if you're hacking somebody, all those items, those add up. You're getting 4 of those a day. Those are extra items. And a lot of people, I think with some of the rebalancing we've gone through over the time, and I was also one of them in the beginning, that we got very upset. We're like, oh, you're taking this stuff away and you're messing with our trading system and you're doing these things. But realistically, once you figure out the mechanic, it really does work well for you. So trading is another thing I try, and it's going to be the next guide I write, actually, now that I feel like it's settled into where it's going to be and I understand it, is that you want to start with those urgents every day. Get those out of the way, right? Or use your opportunity on those while you send your demoiselle on a normal trade, because you can get through those 4 urgent ones quicker on your opportunity. And then also, if you happen to be in a server that is puts those titles from Zarnus on auto, like we do in 101. We believe in sharing and working as a team. We want to be as strong as the strongest server as possible while we fight other servers for the upcoming server versus server. So we have those on auto. And the great thing about the way those titles work, and it's a great mechanic add, by the way, Dash, you love it, is that every single player can grab that title right before they're about to do an action. So, for example, if I'm going to train ships, I'm going to grab, I think it's the military title, and that one is going to allow me to train ships needing for less time. So that means less speed ups. If I'm going to send a trade, I grab that Counselor of International Affairs, and that one I pick up, and all I need it is for a few seconds. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to send my trades. And let me tell you, it takes like an hour or something off those trades. It's
Yes.
considerable. And then the same thing with research and construction. If I needed those, I can grab those right before I start to build, because you don't need it on once it started. That's not reducing something that's already started. It's applying at the time of it being started. So those titles are very easily shareable between people and really help you grow. So if you're in a server that those are available to you, remember to use them. Save your resources.
All great tips. Yes, every day when I enter the game, I just put on my trading and yeah, do harvest everything. But back to one tip, would you suggest a new player to join a guild as soon as they are in the game, or you think it's better to observe a little bit?
So it's like this catch 22, right? Because when you first get in the game, you want to experience it. In the early parts of the game, in that trade era, I mean, in my opinion, it definitely leaves it where your first days, you don't have a whole lot to do because a lot of people don't understand the excitement of exploring yet.
Hmm.
Right. So I would say that get out there and explore everything that you can within your locked in zone in your border region in the beginning, right? Because it's a lot of so many good resources to help you grow in the beginning of the game that gives you that jump right in the start. So like in the beginning, like sure you can join a guild, but I'm going to be honest with you, most of the time the very first guild you join is you're going to realize that you joined it too quick before you see what these people are like. And you don't know if these are the people you're going to want to play with forever with. So don't be afraid if you did join a guild and you feel like it's not a good fit for you. Don't stay with that guild. Like you definitely want to enjoy the people you're playing with. You want that guild to represent your values as a player. You know, this game has PvP elements, which means that sometimes you're going to have more aggro of teams. Sometimes you're going to have teams that are more like me, where I like to be the shield of players more than the sword that's striking them down. Play with the people that you feel like fit your mindset, right? I'm not saying you have to play like me. You can be an aggro player. No, just be prepared for somebody like me to come stop you, but it's just play with the people who fit to make it you enjoy it, right? Because a lot of people play these games and they get caught up in the drama that happens between people because that's normal. Human beings have drama. They bicker. They have different opinions. We have different cultures. I get it, right? Don't get caught up in that. We're playing this game to escape for moments of time from the horrible woes of adulting. So enjoy it. Like if you're playing this game and it's so deep that you are frustrated and you're aggravated, then you're playing games for the wrong reason. Come and get with a good group of people that you love playing with that makes it where you laugh every day a little bit and you get to know somebody a little bit better. And one of the past games, so getting that right guild is really important, right? So
Yeah.
I'll normally jump in a guild right away because you need to, right? You need to a guild to set a rally when that finally becomes. I almost always end up moving a guild or two in the beginning because a lot of those beginning guilds, you just jump in the first one you can because it's part of the story. Like they say, join a guild, right? So you just pick one because it gives you a couple credits and the story continues. A lot of times those guilds, they don't really build that community yet, right? Because that's just a transient type guild. So don't get stuck in those and don't get upset like, oh, my leader never comes on. Well, that's fine. Pay attention to the world chat and see what kind of teams are being active and being social and find the one that fits you.
That's great tips. I'm sure that's going to help a lot of people listening right now. By the way, Eromenos, are you a big sci-fi fan in general?
Oh my God. Okay. So sci-fi is life to me. I'm all things sci-fi. My earliest childhood memories go back to I was very close with my grandfather. I spent a lot of time with them. We came from old school Italian families. So he worked a lot and he'd go abroad a lot for work. And
Hmm.
I would go stay with my grandmother to do all the men's work, pick out the garbage, do all these things that a woman in an Italian household shouldn't have to do. So I would go and stay with her and then I would travel a lot with him. So I ended up being like grandpa's little boy and we would just watch so much sci-fi together. It would be Battlestar, like the old school ones, like way back when from like, I think it was like the 70s or whatever they were doing them. We watched those ones. He would have loved the reboot if he made it to him. And he would have loved this show. He would have absolutely loved Foundation if it came out. Like it would have blown his mind. It's so good. And he did read the books. He would have absolutely loved the show. And so I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Battlestar, Expanse, Foundation, like all of them. Star Trek. I was always a little more of a Star Trek than a Star Wars person, but I do love Mandalorian. But yeah, sci-fi all the way.
That actually leads into my next question. What about you? What aspects of the game do you think Foundation fans would particularly enjoy in our game?
The first time I played through, a lot of the story wasn't there, right? And it relied on more of our community of our enjoyment of
Yeah.
the game. When I went back, by the time 1007 came around and I started that character, it was such a different game in the beginning. And new players, I can only imagine that anybody who picks it up would love it in the very beginning. It is just such an engaging thing, but I wouldn't say that it really follows any one If I had to pick one, I guess I would weigh toward the series slightly, only because of the actors being used, the images and stuff, right? That makes it feel like it pulls a little closer to the series. But never once have we heard any mention of the genetic dynasty or any of the emperors that would have fallen during the time of the genetic dynasty in the books, right? Because there was a
Mm.
Cleon in the books, but he just didn't go on to make a genetic dynasty. So they didn't mention any of the emperors after then. So right now I'm still on that like that nail biter phase where I'm like trying to figure it out. But I'm also very realistic that this is a story that's taking place. First of all, Foundation is over tens of thousands of years, like millennia, right? Like it's a really long story. And the reason why the genetic dynasty got brought around was to allow that story to identify the people instead of changing actors so frequently, because, that can lose you in a show. And so I thought that was a really smart move they did. And it made a lot of sense and it made the story very interesting. It was a cool plot twist compared to the book. I liked it. And
Yeah.
so I'm kind of excited to see when it might come, and one day I might bring it into the game myself. I always
Mm.
laugh because I always want to make me, and if anyone knows about 1001, I want to make me, Asuka, and Bye Bye, Brother Day, Brother Dawn, and Brother Dusk, because
Mhm.
we're like kind of like triplets of like our keeps for all like the same like 75, 80 million fleets. So I want to name us Brother Dawn, Brother Day, and Brother Dusk, and I'm going to bring it to the game.
I love it. You build this brotherhood with your guildmates, and sounds there are a lot of fun stories in your server. And speaking of the stories, how about the stories in game? I feel like it's such an important experience in the game. I have to admit, I rushed through it too fast in the beginning. Now I regret.
But that's an important point, Joshua. Like, if
Mm.
you're a new player that's hearing this before you're about to join, or you're still really early on, if I
Mm.
could give a piece of advice, is don't be a quick capper. You just want to get out of the story. Then why are you playing the game? Like, read the story. It's a really good story. So don't just click through things to get to your next battle. Read the story. Like, take your time, enjoy it.
So, what do you enjoy most about the in-game story? Which part?
They're finally starting to fill in some plot holes and giving people some
Mhm.
dynamics, and they're adding a little bit more to it every day. They're adding immersive things like the people inside the ship have little interactions, which are kind of funny these
Mm.
days. The one came on to me. It was funny. He asked me if I wanted to go to a dark corner. I thought that was a little funny. So they have like all these things in the story that really like kind of draw you in. The Voyager missions that they put in that added new story elements. It started introducing you. There's a lot of story to be had throughout the game. Like almost everywhere you look, there's little story elements that I think a lot of casual players, and I've been guilty of it myself too, right? Where I had to like forcefully tell myself to stop and to slow down and to stop trying
Mm.
to click through because I was
Yeah.
clicking faster than I could read just to get through things. And I realized that I was missing so much amazing story content that they really are doing a good job with here. I will say that.
Yeah, yes, I understand. Yeah, like in a stage, I also like passed everything quickly to get
Yeah,
rewards.
because
Yeah.
you're excited, right? And especially in those
Yes.
early days, because that first
Mm.
event, it's like you
Mm.
got it. You're trying to get 8 million power because you want to unlock those Demerzel blueprints, or maybe it was like 5 million. I can't remember now. It was like
Uh,
5 or 8. Anyway, so you're trying to race. So while you're in like that first place reward is so good in that first week. So I think that you end up clicking without meaning to. But I'm gonna promise you, if you're a new player, you don't need to click to get first place because people are gonna run out of steam on like day 4. Okay. So like you got a week, you got time,
mm.
enjoy the story, really
Yes.
read it, don't click through it. It is really being done well. And it's every little interaction. It's down to even when you're interacting with the little floating space stories and the network, the trade network commissions and things like that. Each thing has a little bit of a story. And if you start piecing it together, you start becoming more immersed in the world. And it is more immersive than a typical casual player might even notice because they are tap clicking. So, take your time, read what you're doing. They're doing a good job on that aspect with the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Through the pieces in the cabin interaction, also the context in the story, I feel like it's always great when a game makes you feel like you are part of something bigger through those small pieces.
I think it's a little weird though. That There's still a few characters that we don't really understand the backstory of, other than like their blurb, right? Like I would say that going forward, I would hope that as we introduce new characters, there should be some kind of story arc that goes with them, right? Like we all know, like Evan is one of my favorite characters. We don't know much about him other than
Mm.
the actual blurb, right? So
Uh,
I would like to know a little bit more about the actual character story and how they developed. Like you saw Ajita starting to be introduced in the voyage, which was very cool. You start to saw her backstory. You're very in tune with Clara. It's almost like Clara is what the story is revolving
yes.
around. It is more interesting. I almost akin it to where like Clara is our Demerzel.
Mm,
So like there's good character pieces in there,
yeah.
and I hope that they continue to develop those out, specifically around the champions we're using. I want to believe in the champions we're using, and some of them have really good story context and attitudes and personalities of their own. Landon and I have communicated so much, and I know that she likes, Eva and Zora because of their interactions in the story, and I agree. Like they got this attitude, this sass. Zora's, she's bad, and Eva, I don't know if I would mess with on a good day. So like with the way they present themselves in the story, it's really good. So I always wish that as we go forward, we see more and more of that. And I think that they're making bigger and bigger strides to do so. We're seeing it introduced as we go, and they're getting better with it. So it's exciting time.
And when it comes to how you play, are you a PvP or PvE person, or do you enjoy both?
Okay, so PvE is very important to me in games. I feel like you need a certain element of that to be able to enjoy because these games, they have people all over the world, right? And it doesn't mean we're all on at the same time. So you have to be able to enjoy yourself and entertain yourself when maybe there isn't so many people on, as well as the times when there are. So I do believe in a healthy balance. I don't believe in attacking somebody just to feel good about myself, though. I only attack during PvP events. But if there's an event and I'm getting points for it, you best believe I'm doing it. But I tend not to pick on people smaller than me just to pick on me. I'm just to pick on people. You'll see like a big fight going on around me, and I'm only attacking maybe one or two of the bigger problematic people. And I'm letting the smaller players kind of fight amongst themselves, usually, at least until I get my milestones. I believe it's a healthy part of the game to be in PvP. I do think that there needs to be some balancing still. We're all very realistic about it. The developer talked about it in his last podcast. Like it's known, it's being worked on and being balanced. And I hope that one day they do get there because it is a little bit harder to do right now, but hopefully we'll get better. And it is something that is a fun part of the game. And you shouldn't be afraid to do it. There's a balance of how much you can do versus it actually interfering with your growth. So you can do it. You just have to treat it like it's a resource, right? Like PvP is a resource, just like your metal or your water or your galactic coin is. You have so much of this that you can do without it interfering with your growth, just like you have so much metal you can do for your growth. So do enough of it to get your milestones, get your points for these events. But it doesn't mean that you have to be an aggro guild that's beating on a team of little people and not letting them take any ports just so you can have duplicates and things like that. Like that's not necessary. I don't believe in playing like that. I'm all about like sharing with the team around and helping everybody around. I think I have tanked more shrines for the entire server than anybody has on any server. I'm all about helping people. So PvE, keep yourself entertained when there isn't a lot of people. PvP, when there's an event that rewards it for you, I'm absolutely all about it. But I feel like when there is no event for PvP, people should respect one another. They should allow people to grow. Remember, you want your server to be healthy. This game is going to have a lot of server versus server elements introduced to it pretty soon, actually. And that's going to be something that's going to stay forever going forward. And anybody who's played games like this that knows those type of events, just because they're not in your guild doesn't mean that you don't need to be able to rely on them for these types of events. So diplomacy is important. Make sure that you are working well during those PvE times and keeping PvP to when you're all actually being rewarded for it, is my personal opinion.
Thanks for sharing that. So based on your experience, what content do you think is good for PvE or PvP enthusiastic in Foundation in our game?
So PvE, that new Blackout event is awesome, and
Mhm.
I'm almost glad that this interview ended up happening because it was supposed to happen a little while ago, and the Blackout event wouldn't have been up yet. And I think that it is hands down one of the best events that have come out in a long time. And a lot of people don't realize how good it can be because they're making their judgments based on the very lowest levels of it. But it's a progressive event. The more you do it, the higher the level of those rallies come out. And it's really about attacking those high level rallies. I must have gotten 100 million GC in 2 days and about a stack and a third of those EXP components, which are a commodity these days. So it was, to me, it was a really, really good event. I enjoyed it a lot. We're all about it and trying to make plans for the next time where we have more players online and make it more of a team event. That's something that Dashu you can put on your notes, like maybe allowing
Mhm.
people to schedule in their calendars, that new calendar you put in the game. We should be able to schedule a day and time to say, hey, like we're going to black out this day. Why don't everybody come online at this time so we can do rallies, things like that. So I'm a big fan of that event. I'm a big fan of the Defend the Trade event. I think that's a really cool event. We enjoy as a team and people get pretty excited by it. And it's a nice little 30-minute dose of excitement. And it has that racing the clock feel because you're always pressing. Like we lost the last time by 4 seconds. We beat the boss, but while the ship was flying into the port, we lost by like 4 seconds. And a lot of people, they'd be discouraged by that. But we were actually excited, right? Because that was the hardest level. We were so close. That told us that we were almost there. And because Doc, and I'll tell it right on the podcast, Doc missed that day, so we would have beat it. It was,
I remember that. Yeah, I remember everyone was complaining, "Oh, Doc, you were not there."
so, but it was fun. And again, I wasn't even saying that seriously to him at the time. It was all good fun. Because remember, you play this game to play with your friends and play with friends, poke fun at each other.
Mhm.
So it was a good time. We were so close. So that event is awesome. I thought that event was really cool. I do think the PvE or PvP events, we haven't played Hunting Grounds a lot. Some other
Mhm.
servers have gotten it more than ours. But between my various characters and the different servers, I've played with it enough that I think that event has a lot of cool things to go to it. So that one's really fun. I'm a little bored with the top 100. I'm not gonna lie. It was the very first event we were introduced to in 107. I mean 1001, right? It was like
Yeah.
the very first event, and it was just been almost at least every other week since for 7 months, right? So we're a little burnt out on it personally, but I think that it's a great event. It's super important. And I think the reason why we're burned out, like somebody like me, is because I no longer need it. My gram is max level,
Mhm.
and that's all about promoting your gram. Right. So, like in the beginning, that is like the most important event for players to do. And that is a mix of PvE and PvP, I guess, because you need those gram blueprints. And so that's an important one. And then I guess I really liked Radiant. It was very enjoyable for me. I like ground battles a lot.
Yes.
I'm glad that more is starting to happen with ground battles. It's a very fun aspect of the game for me. I hope that gets developed out more a little bit. And there's more sides of that. So definitely, if you're asking me to name specific events, PvE is going to win just
Mm.
because I think that we need a little more diversity in PvP, but that's coming in time and we're seeing it. I believe that we're going to see it in the future just by hearing the different notes that have been passed down to us from the developers and things like that last podcast.
That's a solid take. I think a lot of players would appreciate those suggestions, especially if they are still figuring out what they enjoy most. So, moving forward, what would you love to see in the future for the game? What would totally blow your mind?
I've been saying for a long time to anybody who would listen, like straight getting up on my soapbox about it. I want PvE where you are all ported into a zone. Think of it like you're going into the trade defense, right? That map. Instead of those checkpoints, like you're going and you're doing objectives, you're fighting your way through. And let's say instead of going to the final planet, maybe it's the Altar class ship, right? That Invictus. And now when you reach there, you have to hack it. And now 6 players or a couple players can go in. Those players have one set of objectives. Maybe they have to disable shields. Maybe they have to disable weapons. They have to fight their way through. They're doing things. And while that's going on, the rest of the players are out in space fighting the altar class ship. And then, you have to work together with different objectives and getting these different things done. I think that would be awesome. And the story could be like I said at the time, like maybe you are rescuing Gray, right? And so like Gray, it will be funny because after like 6 months, everyone's like, Gray's always getting abducted. But it's something like that, right?
Let
Um,
Gray to be kidnapped again.
yeah. I think that would be cool, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever played Among Us, but the games inside could be that simple, right? Like maybe you got to
Yeah.
pair some things or do some easy mini games kind of thing to disable the shields or do these things, but you have to fight your way to these different checkpoints to do the mini games. So that would be cool. Like, I think there's a lot to there. And if the devs ever want to pick my brain about some fun event ideas, come talk to me.
That sounds amazing. And regarding the global launch, what are your expectations for the global launch?
My expectations were that we were going to get merges, we were going to get new content, we were
Mhm.
going to get server versus server. hearing them map out their timeline in a way, not giving dates, but at least that milestones that we should expect will order, right? So we know that we're going to see the server versus server. We know that they see GVG being the first phase of it. The next is going to be that zone that the two worlds can port to fight in the zone, and then later will come ways to actually invade each other's system. So that stays right in track with what I was hoping for. I'm hoping that, by the summer, we are in nicely populated servers with no lag, with able to enjoy full scale battle, and that we're getting our season 2 of new content because, some of us are waiting. We've been doing this a while now, right? And
Yeah.
I'm excited and I'm patient, and I knew that this was part of the process, especially getting it on day one, but
Mhm.
I'm ready for some new content.
We are fully on it. It's definitely going to be a big moment for the game, so we are try our best to get ready for it. Eromenos, before we wrap up today, is there anything else you would love to talk about or add? Maybe a final message to the community?
Like, I thought Lannon, she said something so profound last time, where her final thought being like, be the player you want to be. And I agree with that. And that's how we live in 101. But I will say that I'm going to tell you that one of the most important things when playing this game is understanding diplomacy very quickly. You're never going to get anywhere by being a tyrant. All that's going to do is destroy your server. That's not good and healthy, right? So be diplomatic. Everybody, when you start playing a server, you should have channels where the leaders of all the different teams can meet and talk and agree to rules of conduct in ways that your server can grow healthy when there is no PvP, and have enjoyable PvP in a fun way when it is on. That's really important. So make sure that you're out there and getting all these people together. And remember that just because there's two big teams, that those other four smaller teams, they get a voice too. Bring everybody together and treat your server like it's a community, because it is. And you guys are all going to have to rely on one another one day for these server versus servers. So while yes, there is a little bit of dynamic of my guild versus your guild, at the end of the day, remember that it's still your server versus other servers very soon. So find that harmony amongst yourselves and be each other's stepping stones to grow and be the strongest versions of yourselves, and save some of that ultra hostility for your other servers. So, and keep your own server a little more harmonious, I would say.
Well said.
I just want to say I'm so excited to, we got to talk a little bit before this and this meeting, and it was so great meeting with you today. I feel like we've been friends now for 7 months through Discord and the game and everything we've been through and the growth of the game. It's been very exciting talking to you today. I'm excited to be part of this and do this interview with you.
And a huge thanks to you for joining us and sharing so much insight, experience, and your heart. You've been a true guide for the community, and it was such a pleasure finally getting to talk with you. And to everyone listening, thank you for spending time with us. This is Dashu signing off, and see you out there among the stars. Traders, if you enjoyed today's episode, let us know in the YouTube comments. We are always looking for new ways to spotlight players, and your feedback plays a big role in shaping what comes next. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and Discord to stay connected and be part of the journey. See you in the next episode.